Hi folks and welcome back. Now if you're thinking of buying Return to Monkey Island, there are two things that you need to know beforehand. One is that if you haven't played at least the original Secret of Monkey Island and some of the other games in the series, then just don't bother playing this, because every single gag and puzzle references back to something in a previous game, and you just won't get any of the humour and you won't like any of the references in here. By the way, if you haven't played the original Secret of Monkey Island, go and do so. It's a fantastic game and it's available on GOG.com for just peanuts. And secondly, the ending to Return of Monkey Island was so bad, it made me wish I had never played the game at all, and it absolutely destroyed the series for me. Seriously, it's that bad. Now, I won't give any spoilers in most of this video until right at the very end. So if you don't want to know what happens, don't worry, I'll give you a warning before we discuss that after my conclusion at the end of the review. Anyway, the story has you playing as legendarily inept wannabe pirate Guybrush Threepwood. Guybrush has aged quite a bit since his first adventure with us, and he realised that he didn't actually discover what the secret of Monkey Island was back in the first game many years ago. So off he goes, out on a new expedition to discover the secret of Monkey Island. Only, of course, his arch nemesis, the ghost pirate LeChuck, is setting off to do the exact same thing, and it becomes a race to get there first and discover the secret of untold knowledge and riches and treasure. Or is it? Yeah, well, we'll get to that. So when it comes to gameplay, this is classic old-school point-and-click adventuring. It's all based around solving puzzles by manipulating objects in the game world. For example, using the poker in the fire to get a red-hot poker, then applying the red-hot poker to the farmer's rump, and the farmer will give you a banana, which you then give to a monkey who runs up a tree and drops a coconut down, and the coconut has the key inside, which allows you to open the treasure chest. That sort of stuff. And luckily, the game does base all these puzzles around some sort of humorous content as well, but more on that later. There's no combat, there's no quick time events as such, there's no way of dying, and you can retry things as many times as you want. Now, before we get into my likes and dislikes, let's talk about the graphics and sound. As you can see, if you have played any of the previous games, this art style is quite different to what's gone on before. You're either going to love it or hate it, and whilst I like the backgrounds and the colour that was used, I really didn't like the character models. They look like they're made out of cardboard and performing puppets. Although this might be a reference to the ending. Yeah, come to think of it. Well, I'll say no more yet. But anyway, you let me know what you think about the art in the comments down below. Sound, however, is a much happier matter. There's some great jingly little tunes in this, and yes, the game is a nostalgia trip, and a lot of the music does seem to hark from titles that have gone before, but I liked it. It all fits the theme of the game. It's pretty good, and the voiceovers are more than adequate as well, especially with all the main characters. There's one or two which just didn't sound quite right, but on the whole, it was pretty good stuff.
I ran into some trouble boarding the ship.
Is it the enchantment keeping you off?
Good news! We get to kill him after all.
No, that's not it. I lost my eye patch disguise, so the crew knows it's me, and they won't let me back on.
And as you might expect, looking at the graphics, I didn't have any performance issues with this game whatsoever. It all run very smoothly, as it should do. It's a fairly simple thing. Okay, then on to my likes and dislikes about Return to Monkey Island, and as always, let's start with the good stuff. And my favourite thing about the game was the nostalgia. Yes, I've played the original Secret of Monkey Island, and I've played most of, but not completed, Monkey Island 2 years ago. And playing the game just brought back all those fond memories of all the fun I had, and all the experiences I had, and the adventures playing the first two games. And that is what this is all about. This entire game is a nostalgia trip. However, nostalgia giveth and nostalgia taketh away, because if you haven't played the previous games, and in particular the first one and maybe two, then you're not going to get the references and the gags and the humour in this. And it made me realise, because a few people pointed things out on stream that I didn't get, that were featured right at the end of Monkey Island 2 that I didn't get to see, and therefore I didn't get the reference and the gag. It was wasted on me. And there are just so many references in the game to what's gone on before. For example, if I said to you, remember that time with the staple remover and the giant yak in the governor's mansion, and there'll be people watching the game who instantly start smiling and say, oh yeah, I remember that fondly. But if you hadn't played that first game, you wouldn't know what that was. And those references come up several times in this. And I can only imagine there must be more references that I missed from some of the other games in this series. From what I gather, after Monkey Island 2, it went downhill. I didn't play any of those until this one, which I think is the 6th. So bear in mind, if you've played all the previous games, you'll get a lot more out of this than if you haven't played any at all. And I'll just say it again, I highly recommend you go and play the original Secret of Monkey Island, because that is still fantastic, even in 2023. I also enjoyed most of the puzzles in the game. They're not particularly brain-taxing, not compared to the old school games that we used to play. One or two have a little bit of an obscure solution, which took me a long time to find out. But it's not too bad. And there's also 2 difficulty modes you can play on, an easy and a hard. Now, because I've played point and click adventures before, I went for the hard mode and I didn't find it that difficult. So I can only imagine how simple the easy mode must be. But again, a lot of these puzzles are not exactly reused, but based on solutions that were found in previous games to similar situations. So I guess if you hadn't played those games, you might find this a little bit trickier. But as I said before, the puzzles are based around some sort of humorous content in this, which, whilst it's not side-splitting, rib-cracking, laugh-out-loud humour, it does at least make you smile, and it's kind of nice. And the final thing that I really liked about the game was that it's not very expensive. I think it's currently selling for £19.49 on Steam, so it's not a big full-price game. So it's not too much money to throw away if you don't like it very much, as we'll get onto in a bit. And I think it's already been on sale too, so you can probably pick it up dirt cheap if you want to go down that road. So what are the bad things about Return to Monkey Island? Well, there's a couple of minor points and then one really big major point, which, yeah, we'll get to. But I've already mentioned that I didn't particularly care for the graphic style of the characters in this. Yeah, it just doesn't do it for me. Maybe you really like it. That's just a subjective thing, so it's not a big thing against the game. You'll either love it or hate it. Let me know what you think. Some of the locations in the game feel like they're reused a little bit too much, and some of the items, it'd be nice to visit newer places and get new things to interact with rather than just do the same things in the same places over and over. But, you know, it's not a major deal breaker. There's a little trivia book in the game. Whereas you're wandering around, you can pick up these little trivia cards that go in it and you build up the collection, and you can open the book and you can answer a trivia question at any time. And it'll ask you something like, how many windows are lit in the governor's mansion? And you can actually go and look and count the windows in the governor's mansion before you answer the multiple choice questions. Although what it counts as windows is debatable. However, some of these questions are horrible, obscure things about people in the production cycle of the game, stuff from other games and all sorts of things. And if you get it wrong, boom, that card disappears and is presumably gone. Now, I didn't even find all the cards in the game. I don't even think I found 20% of the cards in the game. They're hidden around in different scenes and around the various islands and locations you can visit. And the ones I did find, when I got them wrong, they just vanished. And I don't know if they go back or if you get a chance to do it again. But I'm assuming that the only way that you can actually then try and complete that trivia book is to play through the game again and go and pick up the card and hopefully get it right on your second playthrough. But the issue I have with this is who the hell is going to want to play this twice? Because there's only one solution to every problem in the game. There's only one way to play it, and there's only one ending. And whatever your actions do, you're always going to have the same outcome. So why would you want to instantly play through the game again? And it's not very long, I must admit. But then why do you want to play through it again just to try and get these questions? And I don't know. I don't like that mechanic at all. And it was wasted on me anyway. But here's the big thing. The ending in this game sucked so bad. Just so bad. It made me wish I'd never played it. The ending happened and I thought, no, that can't be it. They haven't gone there. This must be a joke ending. Surely, hang on, the credits are rolling. There's going to be a proper ending afterwards, isn't there? They're going to just announce that was just a ha-ha, we got you. Hang on, carry on playing the game. Here's where it goes. But no, it didn't do that. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what happened now, but I will do in a few moments if you want to stay tuned for that. But I don't want to give any spoilers here. But the ending was so bad, it ruined the entire game for me to the point where I think, I wish I'd never played that. It's just destroyed my belief in the characters and everything. So in conclusion, I don't feel I can really recommend Return to Monkey Island. I know there are some people who have already liked it and probably will like it, but if you haven't played any of the previous games, it's going to be wasted on you and you just won't enjoy it. And this ending is something that it really might kill it for you anyway. But I'll say again, do go out and play The Secret of Monkey Island. The original game, there's been a remake of it which has updated the graphics and added speech into the game. It is well worth playing. It is so good, it is so funny, and I do highly recommend that one. And then if you really love that, play Monkey Island 2. And then think if you want to play any more. This is always available if you do, but I'll definitely wait until it's become a bit cheaper, just so you don't get too disappointed. And with that, we're about to get into the spoiler section and talk about that ending. So if you're going to leave us here, then thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be alerted of all my future reviews. Alright, spoilers coming up, so this is your last chance to bail out. Now imagine you'd been watching a movie. It's got great heroes and villains in it, a fantastic story, a titanic clash of good versus evil, where all the way evil is just one step ahead of good, and it's coming up to some huge climactic encounter at the end, where they finally meet and fight over the spoils, and there is the room ahead of the hero. He just has to open that door, and the villain is in there. There's going to be this climactic encounter. It's all going to be building towards the end, and the hero steps through the door, and suddenly sits up in bed. He wakes up, and it's all been a dream, and none of it ever happened. And he goes back to sleep, and they all live happily ever after. How would that be? That would be shit, right? That would be really, really shit. Well, that's not exactly what happens in Return to Monkey Island, but that's how it left me feeling. You see, you're chasing the ghost pirate LeChuck all across the Caribbean. He's always one step ahead of you, and then you follow him at the end of the game down into this secret temple underground, and he's gone through and set traps for you and shut doors, and there's a series of puzzles that you have to get through, and you see him run through into the final room in this temple, and it's locked, and there's quite a cryptic puzzle for you to solve, and finally you get through this door, and this is what it's all been building to. He's got the treasure, he's got the secret of Monkey Island, and you're going to find out exactly what it is, and you're going to have this encounter with him to be able to win it off him. And you don't. You go through the door, and there is no ghost pirate LeChuck. There is none of these characters that you've come to love, because it's all just a made-up ride in a theme park. It's all just an interactive encounter that someone's put together for Guybrush Threepwood, who isn't even a wannabe pirate. He's a floor cleaner or something, and he just comes out and he turns the lights off in the theme park and he says, well, I enjoyed that, and I guess I'll come again another day. All words to that effect. And you just, no, hang on, I said, no, this can't be it. This just can't be it. They can't have left it like this. This is a joke. Surely, this can't be it. But sadly, folks, it is. And it is such a bad ending because it just absolutely destroyed my belief in the world that had been created, in the characters that now they don't exist. Well, one or two of them look like they do, but the rest don't. What's going on? Wait, what? There was just too many questions, and it was just rubbish. And at the end of the game, it also hints towards another game coming, probably a different line of adventures, where Guybrush's wife says she's found some treasure map to something island, which looks like it's lining up for a spin-off series. But it instantly made me feel there's no way I'm even touching that series because this one has been ended so badly. And I just felt so let down. And I'm still in disbelief that this is how they've decided to end it after all this time, after all this many games. I guess the writers, the developers, or whoever are trying to just draw a line under it and saying, well, we've had a nostalgia trip. That's it. That's your lot. There's not going to be any more Monkey Island because it never existed in the first place. It was all just puppets in a theme park. A bit like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disney World. Yeah, totally unsatisfactory for me, to the point where I just thought I've just wasted my time. And worse than that, it's also soured the memory of the games that I'd played before, to the point where I wish I'd never played it. I really do. And I have so many regrets. It was that disappointing. Anyway, if you've played it, let me know what you think. 'Cause I know there are some people who do actually like the ending to this and think it's quite cleverly wrapped up, but it did not land well with me. I'll tell you that. Anyway, thanks for watching this far, and I do really want to hear your comments on this, and so let me know down below if you will, please. Anyway, thanks again, folks, and I'll catch you again on the next one.